Let's bring in Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes. Khalif, good morning.
Morning.
So we talk about just because the election's over doesn't mean the election's over, right? You've got until the end of this week as the state canvasses, which means, you add in those provisional, those absentee mail-in ballots and all those kind of things. So we're less than 10,000 that separates Riggs from Griffin. If Griffin were to keep the lead that he has, we're hearing there could be a recount.
100%. And so North Carolina doesn't have an automatic recount. The candidate has to request it. And so you've hit right on the head. That night, election night, those results aren't official. They're unofficial until this 10-day grace period. They're counting provisional ballots. We had 65,000 provisional ballots this year in North Carolina. Wake County was first. Mecklenburg County was right behind them. And so there's a number of canvassing. There's a number of verifying, a number of ensuring that this vote was the actual person. So then by Friday, they'll get that number. Then that triggers, well, if it's within that less than 0.5% for statewide races, then there's an opportunity for them to request a recount. We also have the Trisha Cotham Sitman race. If it's less than non-state, it's less than 1%, then they have an opportunity to request a recount. Once you walk down that road, it gets even more complicated in terms of what triggers what next event. But first, we got to get to Friday. Friday triggers a number of things that could happen after that.
Khalif, though, even if they do ask for a recount, looking at the statistics, this is actually pretty rare that you would see a race overturned even after the recount.
I looked at the numbers. It's extremely rare. You're talking about, they looked at, what is it, like 36 plus races, and only 3 of them over that time even had a chance of moving, and those numbers were like 200. And so you're looking at that race right there for the Supreme Court. You're talking about 7,000 votes that you're looking to move from one side to the other. Most of the times from the statistic that I saw, it was the person was down 200. When they end up doing the recount, then they end up being up 200. But as I mentioned before, when you're talking about what triggers, Friday triggers the ability to request a recount. They'll run the recount. They also can request a hand and eye recount and say, look, I want you to actually count and do this by hand. That can be triggered after if there's any movement. And so this could take a number of days or a number of weeks to be finalized, but time will tell. But statistics, as you mentioned, are not on his side. History shows that whoever had that lead unofficially is going to take the lead going out.
Okay, but are there larger implications here? Because either way, let's say that Riggs, she asked for a recount and she does win, right? Well, that keeps the majority 5-2 Republicans, right? If Griffin wins, now you got 6-1 Republicans. Either way, Republicans still hold a majority on the Supreme Court. So where's the larger picture if there is a change? Is it further down? Is it with gerrymandering? Like, how does that affect us?
Everything you said is hitting right on the head. And so Anita Earls will be the lone Democrat on the bench on the Supreme Court. And the 2030 census is right around the corner. That's when we're talking about having the opportunity to redraw some of these district maps. And so if you're redrawing these maps, most of the time they'll be challenged. If you're in North Carolina, you're talking about maps, you're normally talking about a challenge to the Supreme Court. And if you're talking about a challenge to the Supreme Court, you want to have at least an opportunity to have folks in the room that have a different perspective to be able to say, look, we think something may not be right here, or at least holding the standard accountable across the board. I tend to not agree with the thought process that if you're a Republican judge or a Democratic judge, that you will just think one way, that you will follow the law what's in front of you. But looking back at history, for our most recent history, they have been across ideological lines. And so you want to at least have a difference of voice in the room speaking about different things.
Khalif, one of the things that Jason and I were talking about this morning that struck us as a little bit interesting, you saw a lot of North Carolina voters go blue for state offices, right? And look at the AG's office. They've gone Democrat since the 1800s. Why is it that they go blue, 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 but then they get to the state Supreme Court and go red?
We are a purple state through and through, and it is a split ticket approach. We'll give our electoral votes. We'll give our bench votes for the GOP. But across the board, for the local things that affect folks the most, it seems like our state has been consistently wanting to shift towards the Democratic side. But on the electoral side, when we're talking about presidential, on the judicial side, when we're talking about our highest courts of appeal and Supreme Court, they will stick to Republican. It is definitely an abnormality. You don't see that in most states, but North Carolina has been consistently, like your tie, purple.